Were you trading NASDAQ?
NASDAQ, but I just wasn't in sync today. It's just like, I don't know. It just kept going up, and it didn't just kept going up. And it's like,
Don't blame yourself.
yeah, it's like, I just happy that I recognized it. And I said, you know what, I'm done, you know.
Yeah.
It's holiday. I just chalk it up to holiday, because you look at your stats from last year, same thing, holiday. It's holiday crap. And then Friday, obviously Thursday's Thanksgiving, but Friday, I mean, actually, aren't the markets open on Thursday?
Yeah, half a day.
Yeah, who's going to be trading? I mean, I'm not going to be trading it.
You know what I realized? The best rhythm of the market is after hours, when there are no algos or computer trading during the market hours. So usually when there's a trend and during holiday there's a continuation of that trend, the market really moves smoothly and continues going up. It is a much lower volume, but you don't get that choppiness we got today. Usually it's just drifts higher in a small fashion with a very good risk reward. Right. I mean, I don't trade it usually, but this is what I noticed over the years, that as I always tell me, oh, I should have traded that day. Oh, I should have traded that day.
Yeah, right.
It's funny. It's like the best trades are after hours. You just see them move so slowly, and then you come back in 2 hours, and it's like 15 points higher. You're like, oh, what?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to adjust your expectations on every signal.
All right, I am going to share my thing here. And let's do this, share my screen. And there it is. Share that. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All right. Well, anyway, we're on 11/24. That's our holiday week, session 3, if you will. And let's see if I can go here. Basically, I just go through our normal stuff, disclaimers. We'll talk about that. We'll go through open session, open your preferably we like to see cameras, but that way you feel more like you're talking to people versus just these black screens. I know some people are on phones, but it's a group. We should all know each other by now. So anyway, feel free to do it if you feel comfortable. Open your camera up. Psychology, we'll talk about reacting to loss, which I think we just talked about before the recording. Identifying the triggers, and once identified, personal self-awareness, mindset, reset, call it what you will, and eliminating those emotional risks. And then we'll just go through questions and answers and open it up and go from there. So without further ado, the government disclaimers. We're not going to be talking about trades. We're not going to be, giving any kind of trade advice or anything like that. But this is just the standard disclaimer that feel free to read it. But as I say, we're not going to be going through any of those. However, we do have this group's disclaimer, and that is this psychology session is sponsored by Tripper.com, along with the professional speakers in attendance. The session will be recorded. There will be no right to privacy regarding this content of this session, and absolutely no HIPAA privacy should be expected. So don't talk about your medical issues. Me, real quick, I think you probably know me. I've been in fire service 40 years, just retired last year. Been on and off playing with stocks, options, and all that, and blowing out those accounts. And finally, I landed on futures, which I seem to like a little bit more. By no means do I feel I want to come across as any kind of trading guru, because I've never worked on a floor exchange or anything, and I struggle with the psychological sides of things and the emotions just like everybody else does. And that's how the discipline manager actually came to fruition, just because of me. So that's all about me. I think you've heard that before. Joel, I think I do have somebody new in here, so we'll introduce you. Go for it.
Yeah, so my name is Joel. I think I've met most of you. I know we got a small group today, but for those that don't know, my master's degree is in clinical mental health counseling. I'm currently doing my doctorate at Northern Illinois University, where I study an intersection, or my research focuses on an intersection of neuroscience and clinical mental health counseling aspects. So I have a background in working with people with neurodevelopmental disorders, anxiety-related disorders, fear and indecisiveness-related struggles, work with athletes, high-intensity risk situations, different aspects of that as well. I'm also a blackjack player, so I relate a little bit to kind of what you guys, I can understand a decent amount of the terms and the risk/reward that is involved in that. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it, Steve.
Okay.
For me.
All right. Thank you, Joel. And just as a side note, Joel is doing this as friendship to me. He does not charge for this, but he has offered a 30-minute individual consultation with anybody if they want to explore things deeper on their own. And people that struggle with the demands that basically we'd be talking about in here. But if you do want to talk to Joel privately, feel free to give me an email, shout, or Skype something, and I could pass on his information. Other than that, I think my information.
Real quick, Steve, let me just jump in. If you do send your information to Steve, make sure you send your phone number. That will be the way that I can contact you. I won't be able to contact you through email just for confidentiality reasons. Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's totally fine.
Okay, so I'll just briefly go over this, the week 1 summary. We did our I don't want to go over it too much, but we went over our poll that we did. 73% of us were dealing with fear of loss. 18 was just impulse trading, and 9% was the over trading portion of it. We started talking about identifying the triggers to control that type of fear of loss. And these are all on the internet on the if you go to the trading psychology on the web page, and then there's a session that talks about the summary and then homework, and you'll see that there. You can read it on your own. More specifically, last week we continued the discussion regarding fear of loss, and we're still on fear of loss. We haven't moved to any of the others yet, but still dealing with fear of loss and to identifying those triggers. Had some great feedback and advice from a few of the members, so I'm glad to see we're getting some participation here. Greg had mentioned journaling, and Gus added on there as far as the trades, emotions, and journal your thought process, if you will, or what you were feeling at that time. And then he'd also mentioned about the T acronym, which is logging your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And again, those are just ways to identify. So the whole goal is to identify the issues before you get stuck in a rut. And example today, when I got the warning, I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just not coping with it. So I deal with it. Joel then last week distributed the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 coping techniques, which I have a picture of on the next page. He gave that to everybody last week. So if you downloaded it or make a copy, if you didn't do it and you want it, just reach out to me and I'll get you a copy of it. But anyway, then the homework that we were going to do for this week, even though it's a shortened week, was just to actually start doing some journaling and the T, the thoughts, emotions, actions, and and if at all you got into that predicament, and then let's talk about that. And obviously this week is a little odd week, but we'll resume back to the Thursday next week on Thursdays. And this is that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 coping technique that Joel passed out last week. Hopefully y'all's had a chance to just look at it. And I did that. I'll actually start the open discussion right now, because I actually did that a couple days ago. I had some issues again. It just wasn't sitting in on me. And so I'm like, where is that thing? So I pulled it out and I'm like, okay. And, started getting into it a little bit more. And yeah, it got me out of the predicament a little bit. Some of the other things that somebody was talking about, just the breathing techniques, I didn't do that. Or just going out, wash dishes, go bike ride, go to the bathroom, do something. So then basically it was just do that. So I know we have a smaller group here, but I will bring back my share. We'll come back to here. And I've got my little one thing here. Okay, I like my polls. Yeah, we have a small group today, so we'll make it quick. Oh, we do. Okay, well, I'll give the 20. So let me share the results here, everybody. Yeah, share results. There you go. You should be able to see that. So yeah, I understand that it is posted on the web page. So, but we have a newbie in here, so he might not have known about it. But yeah, we're starting to get some participation. So who wants to go first? And who did their homework? And why did you do your homework? And did it work? All right, Gus.
I always do this. I mean, now I just want to add a tool for Ninja Trader. I use something called verbal journal, where you can pinpoint a place on the chart and speak what you're feeling and what you're saying, and if you miss an opportunity, or talk about your trade or whatever, and then you can go back to the chart and there's a dot on your chart. You can click on it and you can hear your voice and review your trades this way. This is just something I added to Ninja Trader several months ago, because really writing down during the trade for me was a bit of a distraction. I used to do it all the time on Excel, write it really quick, but this one really very efficient way to identify how you feel and where it happened, and obviously why it happened, because you're talking your thoughts out. So
is this a third-party thing, or is this part of Ninja?
It's a third-party thing. You have to pay for it. You can buy it. It's called Verbal Journal. I can get you the information.
Yeah, I should throw it in the chat group or something, or you can send it out. We'll get it next week or something like that. By all means, that sounds like because I do know, writing it down, and I don't really write some. I'd rather type, because I have my electronic Excel log, so I'd rather type it up. But yeah, maybe that's even. You could probably put a lot more in there than you can if you were just typing and writing. You could write a very easily paragraph.
And there are different colors, color-coded dots. So you can, for triggers, you can use certain color. For entries, you can say, or setups, specific setups, you can use another color. And so yeah, you can do a review, whatever you want. You're just speaking with the dot on the chart. I'll look up the information.
Yeah, by all means.
I'll post it.
Anybody else have a good week or a bad week?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, John.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm fairly new to trading, and I'm working with I'm in the trading room with John Novak. So that's how I found out about you guys. And so I've been doing simulation for the last probably 4 months or 5 months now, and ready to kind of go live. But
okay, run now.
yeah, I'm excited about it. So I'm still developing that consistency, and some days have good days, some other days I have not so good days. And when you kind of think you know it, and then it's like kick you in the butt, like, oh, I really don't know it. So with the journaling, so I've been using the spreadsheet, kind of using the system that as Steve, you may know, that John has set up with the spreadsheet.
Yep.
So I post all my trades, take pictures of them. However, I'm not good at what was I thinking, or what was my trigger, how to actually document that. Do you just, like you mentioned, just write that into the spreadsheet?
Well, if you're asking about how I do it, I have a scale 1 through 5. And then, and I put it right in Excel, because then you can get averages. The day was average was a 3, which is medium. Basically a 5 is great, 1 is terrible. And it's not based on your trade. It's based. I do have a scale for that, but this is based on psychology.
Okay.
How are you feeling? And I have it. I could share it with you. But it's basically. I feel totally comfortable as a 5, totally at ease, totally comfortable as a 5. And then a number 1 would be like, I don't like this. I don't feel comfortable with it. So why the hell did you do it in the first place? But point of it is that I feel unease, or maybe even moving my stops a little bit because I don't feel comfortable. And then 3 is just the, your normal kind, and you see grade like that. But I think, Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, it's up to you, right? Gus, anybody? I mean, it's your own personal scale, if you will, or feelings, numbers.
I was going to say that I really like that idea that Gus had, because you want a system that works for you, right? I mean, one system that, for me, it works really well when I write things down. For Steve, he said he likes to type. Gus likes to verbalize. These are all different ways that we learn, that we process information, that our brains work through things. And we've, these have been developed systems that work. Find a system that works for you. That's the most important thing, right? It's not going to be the same for everyone. We're all individuals. We all process data differently. So that would be my main thing. John, and welcome, John, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, but keep in mind, try to keep it separate from the trade itself, regardless of the trade setup or if it met the rules, didn't meet the rules, some of the rules, whatever. This is specifically for your psyche at that time.
How'd you feel at that time? Got it.
That time. Go ahead, Gus.
Okay.
I would like to add, what's more important is how you feel after the trade as well.
Yeah.
Because how did that trade affect your emotional state?
Okay.
And this is where it's more important. You can, if you're feeling too good after the first trade, you're gonna be in trouble. And if you're feeling bad, you're gonna be in trouble. So you have to rate yourself before the trade and after the trade.
Okay.
So, and if that's the only way to catch yourself, because you're gonna get into trade after trade without knowing why you're making the same, repeating the same behavior and same mistake. So this is why you want to rate yourself to be in a state of mind where you're calm and accepting risk and at peace with it, and at the same time you have to be alert. So it's a situation where you're not too excited and overly excited, and not too lazy and calm and sleepy, and you have to be on that edge where to monitor yourself. So I would rate myself honestly +5 to -5, and 0 would be the ideal state. If you're going +2, +3, +4, you're in a euphoric state. And if you go -2, -3, you're more in a fearful state. So you want to find the balance in the middle. So I would rate it this way. Personally, this is how I rate myself.
Okay.
In terms of,
yeah, I think one of the issues that I found out early on that I have is, and I get you guys had touched on this the last couple of weeks as well, is the revenge trading. So if my first trade is if I lose my first trade, it's like after that, my other trades are like kind of my mind just not right, and so I guess I'm chasing the losses, as you guys mentioned, and I mean, your call last couple of weeks helped me, because I found out the last time I traded the day I had a good day today. However, prior to that, I had my first trade was a loss. I stepped back from the computer, I took a deep breath, walked away, and then came back and was able to get back in the right state of mind and was able to do good from that point on. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that initial time before this, it was just like, I gotta get my money back.
Yeah. And now that you're trading sim.
Sim.
Okay.
Sim.
So there's a big difference, and correct me if I'm wrong, people. There is a big difference. You talk about you having emotions during sim. It is totally different when you have real money. And that's why I tell anybody, like in your case, I would start with the micros.
That's what I'm planning to do.
Because my God, it just to get over that, it's all emotions. I mean, it's easy to kind of put on a trade, mechanically, on, off, move it around, don't on sim, just take the stop off. What's the point? But when you have real hard-earned money, that's why, it's just like the gambling. When you put that ante down, you're committed.
Yeah, skin in the game.
Skin in the game. Skin in the game. And yeah.
If you're really getting emotional with the sim trading, it has to do more with the fear of being wrong rather the fear of loss. So this is something you should consider working on.
And Gus, you touch on another good point there and I know this is really hard for a lot of people to hear, especially when we're dealing with money, right? But straying away from that results oriented mindset and getting into the value mindset, right? Like, with all the information you had available to you, did you make the right call? Did you make the right trade? Like, that's what we're really, that's the mindset you want to be in, because if you are going, I lost money, you're going to chase those losses, right? And then you're trying to control things that are really out of your control,
right?
Which we can't do. So we need to focus on those things that we can control. And that's why that kind of switching from the results oriented to the value oriented mindset really kind of helps with that. I want to say awareness, mindfulness of kind of how your emotions are regulating during those kind of high intensity situations.
Okay.
And yeah, I wanted to touch on that as well, but got carried away with the other, the simulation issue. But yes, you should, at no point, you should be focusing on your P&L. I would highly recommend removing anything on your screen represents money, because you are trading probabilities. You want to see if your system is working. You want to analyze your entries, your risk, your stops, your exit, and you want to look at it in terms of risk reward. You don't want to be risking 2 points to make 1 point. You want to be risking 1 point to make 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So money has nothing to do with it. It's, are you trading well? Are you entering? Is your setup telling you to enter at that? Do you have edge to begin with? Do you have a system that has an edge? If you don't have an edge, you're going to have random results. And that's going to give you even more emotional issues, because you don't know which are going to work and which are not going to work. So you have to have specific rules for your entry, and where you enter and why you enter. What's your trigger? Why did you enter? And where's your stop? And where's your target? So you have to be comfortable taking 10 trades, losing 5, and making money on 5. And the only way to make money is if your winners are much bigger than your losses, which plus the commissions. And this is what trading is about. It's not about being right. It's not about, oh, I'm going to catch this move and I'm going to make $1 million. It's taking small winners within a risk reward probability setups with an edge.
I could chime in on what I've done relatively recent, maybe 6 months or something like that. Is on Ninja, it shows you the money. I've turned that off. And I've set it to, for NASDAQ, I'll set it to points, or ES, I set it to points. And for crude, I'll set it for ticks. So I could see, because, with crude, it doesn't move, so many. So if you get 20 ticks or something like that, you're reaching your point where it's going to probably start retracing a little bit. So you want to see if you can collapse, capture all that. And if it's NASDAQ or ES, it's measured typically by points. But what I used to do was have the dollars on there, and I'd say, oh, I'm up, or I'm down, whatever. And I think you're right with what you said on that, by just kind of removing yourself from that. And that's why the discipline manager is kind of like in the background. You don't see it. I mean, you don't have to have it on. You can turn the window off, and it just sits in the background. It's not on your chart or anything. And so that would be probably something to look at too.
Okay, that's good.
Anybody else?
Hello, everybody. My name is Gary. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I'm testing out a different microphone here. Sorry.
Sounds good.
Thanks for setting up the group. I'm glad I'm not alone in some of the emotions. But I'd like to share with you what I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 months, and it's really made a difference. And what I've done is I bought Snagit, which you can do a screen print and you can do videos with. And I literally, I set up a screen on one of my monitors that I record from. And so I'll record and pause, so it doesn't get a lot of dead space. I literally, I call it my trading video journal. And it's only for me, not for anybody else. So I yell at myself, a little curse here and there, and no one's not really supposed to be hearing it, but it's a perfect way of talking yourself off the ledge, and not jump. And you say, I hear myself say, why did I enter that trade? That's so stupid. I jumped in when I shouldn't have jumped in, or I revenged and I shouldn't have revenged. but then on the flip side, and I record this, you know, so I'm showing my trade on the screen and hearing my voice with it as it's happening, you know, and it really settles you down. I mean, it really, you don't repeat what you just did. You kind of identify your errors right away. And the way I've been using it is I play these, I try to make sure the recording is no longer than 10 to 15 minutes, so I don't bore myself when I replay them. But so I may have 2 or 3 videos a day or something. And when I save it, I send it up to Microsoft OneDrive, so I can play it from my phone or iPad or wherever I am anytime. But I play it before I start trading the next day. So I repeat all those. That's my trade prep for the day. Is I've been playing my videos, so what I did, how good I did, and how bad I did from the day before. And it really focused. I'm telling you, it really focused you. It's worth a shot just to get a handle on your emotions. When you hear yourself criticizing yourself, and then what I was gonna say, the flip side of that is when you have a great trade, you hear yourself congratulate, man, that was a perfect trade, perfect entry, perfect execution, everything was great. And that somehow that sticks with you, and you say, you know, I can repeat that over and over again. And it's pretty interesting. It's worth a shot.
When are you turning it on? Right at the beginning of a trade, or like just how do you know when to turn it on?
I turn it on because I just have it up on the screen where I have it's a pause button. So I turn it on beginning of the day, kind of introduce, hey, this is, you know, today's November 24th. Okay. And I start trading at 6 a.m. in the morning Eastern. That's another thing that I've changed is like going to work with a job. I'm on there. That's when I take my first trade if the setup is proper. So most of my trades are done before the market opens, to be honest with you. And I've been doing quite well over the last 3 or 4 months. And I trade for 4 points ES a day, and that's it. And I'm done. So as soon as I get anywhere between 3 to 4 points, 2 to 3, 2 to 4 even. If it's like a choppy day, maybe I'll get out at 2. But as soon as I hit my goal, I'm done. And my day's over, really, for trading. And then I go on to something else. And I've been growing a contract in ES every either $2,500 or every $5,000. I add a contract. And I'm just growing width now. So, you know, my trades are fairly wide right now. And it's good. You know, it works out good. But it's kind of exciting that video kind of made that difference for me. You know, that it just takes my emotion away, right? And you're really looking at your emotions and criticizing or complimenting yourself right away. And that's my trade prep.
I have that. I'll try it tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, holidays, but yeah, when I do it next, I'll do that.
Yeah, just talk to yourself. You know, yeah. I listen to it. I laugh because I make these comments that are like a joke, you know, and it's like I'm chuckling at, you know, but I'm listening to it. So it's kind of entertaining in the same thing. And the other thing I've been doing or I've done is I have probably a detailed spreadsheet of how I grow my account with my goal, my plan, and I focus on. I have that contract up on another screen. Or that spreadsheet up on another screen, and I enter my trades in. I actually enter the dollar amounts, but I'm actually focused on the points per contract. So I focus on total points and total points per contract. So if I'm like 10 wide, and my goal is 4 points a day, I'm looking for 40 ES points total. But I'm kind of focused on the point per contract. But so I allow myself to trade less than my full width. So if it's kind of a more risky trade, I'll reduce my number of contracts. I call it like, you know, I'm taking a quarter risk or a half risk, and limit my risk and downside from that point. And that's also been working well for me on that. Good. So anyway, it's some things I thought I'd share when I had a moment here, but it's something new and it's been working. I find it been kind of a difference maker.
Okay.
Well done, Gary. Thanks for sharing. Yes, I think expressing your feelings and emotions, whether verbally or writing it down, it does help. And recording it when it happens, as it happens, it's going to make it more and more, become more and more aware of it and why it happened. A few things that you mentioned, and I would like to add on them. You said in the morning, in the preparation, you go over those videos. And I think everybody's mental preparation for trading should involve mental rehearsal and visualization. And to go over your triggers, how you feel about them before you start trading, so you can avoid doing them in trading. Obviously, there is more into it: the breathing, releasing that trigger, letting go of those emotions before. That's how you do it usually through a. I mean, Joel can also add to this. It's called exposure therapy, where you go over and the actual feeling of that trigger, and you accept it and you let it go, so it doesn't bother you again and doesn't trigger during trading. The more you do it, the more you get exposed to it, the less it starts taking control of you. So this is something that you should always consider in the morning, the preparation, to do mental rehearsal and visualization on those mistakes and emotional behaviors and triggers.
Yeah, go back to square one, and that's trying to identify those triggers. If you can capture them on screen, with you cussing in the background, and then you can see it on screen while but you're looking at it as a third person, later on the next day or something. That's actually a good tool.
Yeah, I really like that, Gary. I think that's awesome, because you not only are able to see the reactions, you're also able to keep a log kind of and have a data set once again. So you're able to kind of track throughout time what my reaction was here. And like Steve said, identify those triggers throughout those times through different patterns that are occurring. And Gus touched on another important aspect with the exposure type of exposure therapy, right? Kind of exposing us to these stimuli, to these triggers, that then we're then able to kind of, I've been here, I've done this before, I recognize what's going on here. And then you kind of, are able to kind of pick out those times where it's really affecting you, or kind of creating that. I think you can compare it to a relationship, right? With a bad breakup. Let's think of it like that, if we do, right? When you're in a relationship, when you're emotionally invested, it is really hard to kind of see those things that, like, someone does in an unhealthy relationship we're talking about, right? That someone does bad to you, or someone treats you poorly. When you're emotionally invested, we kind of project, or we make excuses. And then once we break up with that person, right, and we're out a couple months and we're not emotionally invested or so into it, then we're like, wow, how did I not see this before, like months ago, that this was occurring, right? So it's like, when we're emotionally invested in something, which, as much as we want to be logical and we are emotional creatures, when we're emotionally invested, we're not thinking the clearest, right? So really being able to kind of, like Steve said, keep a log, identify those triggers, and be able to recognize when you're getting into that pattern is going to be extremely helpful and productive for you. Does that make sense, what I'm saying there, with the kind of the relationship analogy?
Definitely. I would like to add one more thing, because the habit we have and the behavior we have, we are already conditioned in it. So for you and for that person, doesn't think this is wrong. They think, this is the way I feel, this is the way I react. It's an automatic trigger. There's no way to figure it out unless you zoom out and you become the observer of yourself. And this is where mindfulness comes in. You have to identify it, accept it, zoom out and see, okay, here it comes, I can see it, and not react, respond to it rather than reacting to it. And this takes a lot of practice. To detach yourself from these behaviors and emotion is where the work that comes in. This is where the repetitive mindfulness practice or cognitive behavioral therapy practice comes into play. Because if you do things the way you do it, I mean, if you chew the way you chew, nobody's going to tell you you're chewing wrong, unless someone else, you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, why am I chewing this way? So same thing, when you feel something, you think this is the normal, everybody feels this way. But that trigger and behavior, you have to detach and see, oh, there's a different way of feeling and different way of dealing with this, and I'm gonna stop triggering that thing, and before it hijacks me. So this is where the work comes in, to identify all these behaviors in advance and these patterns and triggers.
Yep, I'm sold. I'm gonna definitely do that on the next day, because I've got the snippet and I've got a couple of video programs, whatever. And I think what you're saying, Gary, is just, turn it on, put it on your chart, your screen, whatever, and then you just have it ready to go with the pause. And then when you're approaching something, just unpause it and then speak and go from there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Yeah, in my video, I constantly say, stand by,
Right.
I'll come back.
Right. Well, like you said, it's just for you anyway. So, I mean, you
Yeah,
know what you're
that's
doing.
right.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
I
Video
used-
log.
Yeah, I used to do that before getting the verbal journal. I used to record my screen, and same way, I would start recording just before I enter a trade. I talk to myself why I'm entering to that trade and how it went, and then I pause it after I exit, and I make a review. But I noticed it takes a lot of space and time and effort to review it. So I like the verbal, which I have no association with, whatever. With the verbal journal trading, I have nothing to do with it, but just a user. So you can spot that spot on your screen, and you can replay what you were talking about, rather than what. But it's a good idea to see the actual video, how you traded it, where you entered, where you exit. That's another.
Yeah, I was gonna ask us real quick. You shared the verbal journal thing in everybody's chat, so you can see the link there. But does that show or record the? Does it record the trade? You said it goes on the chart. Is that like it's verbally, so you have to talk into it, but does it record the chart?
No, it doesn't record the chart. You can take a screenshot. I used to take screenshots and put them in certain folders.
Yeah.
But no, this is just, it prints a dot, a colored dot on a bar where you were recording. So when you go back, you hold control and you click on that and you play it.
Okay.
But you can check. I mean, you can see why you took the trade. I mean, you can see the entry and your exit because of you can have the arrows on the Ninja Trader where you entered and where you exited.
Right.
That trade.
But I think you have to kind of look at that if you're going to look at that as a third person, you got to do it before, after, when the day's done or whatever the case is. And quite frankly, when the day's done, I want to get out of here. I'm tired. I don't want to sit there and look at charts. But I do like Gary's idea of the fact that if you record it, I could put it on my screen when I'm laying down in bed on TV, a smart TV, and you put it on, like you said, upload it to YouTube or wherever you want to do privately, on your own OneDrive, whatever. Or like you said, in the car, you can't see it in the car, but you could hear it in the car. But I kind of like the idea that way you can get out of, you could truly be out of the third, be in a third party person. And you could watch it, in the living room when you're chilling out over a beer or something. Whereas the verbal journal, you have to kind of look at the chart. You got to click on it to hear what you said.
Like my thing is try multiple things, right?
Yeah.
Different things are going to work for different people. What works for me is not going to work for Steve, is not going to work for Gus, is not going to work for Gary. We all have our individual systems, just the way that we're kind of programmed as humans, right? The way that we've figured out. It's the same with anything, like we've talked about, developing a system that works for you. Find what works for you. The verbal journal would probably work a lot better for me, because I'm able to then speak and write down, and then I can kind of click, know what I'm doing. So I get what Gus is saying. But Steve, you're saying, hey, I like what Gary's bringing up, because I can actually review everything. I have it right there. I can lay in bed, boom, drink a beer, watch what happened. It's once again, find your individual system that works for you and try different ones. It's not for anyone else to kind of tell you. I wouldn't say this is what's going to work for you. You know what works best for you. You're able to do it. Just try those multiple things and see which gives you the best results, really.
Yep, will do.
Yeah, that's what trading is about. It's very individual based. Your trading style, your triggers, your behaviors, what you like, what you don't like, what style is your trading. It's very personal. So no one solution fits all. You always have to find what works for you.
What
All
are
right.
some of y'all's thoughts on, I kind of have a question, a little off from what we're saying, but it does have to do with psychology. What are some of y'all's thoughts on pacing your trading in terms of creating goals for your trading, and then as you approach them, managing your anxiety about being near your goals, or when you have setbacks, managing that sort of emotion towards, oh, this is another 2 weeks I have to add into my business plan, or yada yada.
The best, I think the best, sorry, go ahead, Joel.
No, Gus, you've got something, go.
The best way when you feel that anxiety, whether it's because of performance anxiety, it is a performance anxiety, whether you're up or down, is not to do anything, to take a break. Take a break until this anxiety is gone. This is the best way to deal with any emotion. Now, how long of a break? It's, again, it depends on the person. It depends how severe that emotion or trauma is. It depends how anxious you are. It depends on your personality. You can do it in 5 minutes. Some people needs 5 days. So it depends how big of numbers. What's your relationship with money? What's your money blueprint? What's the percentage you're talking about of your account size? So it is a performance anxiety overall, and you have to deal with it by working on the feelings and the emotions that comes out because of that performance anxiety. Yes, maybe that's not the answer you were waiting for. You're looking more of a targets and how to deal with that. That's something else, but this is what I had in mind.
I think that's valid.
Yeah, I think, Gus, you kind of hit exactly where I was going to go, as performance anxiety, right? And kind of like you said, Sean, get into that goal where you're like, oh, I'm right there. I can do this. You know, I just got to do a little bit more. Then the intensity ups a bit, right? And we start kind of, what are we noticing that's going on there? Is our heart starting racing more? And I agree with Gus at that point. You know, when I'll talk about personally for me, when I'm at the blackjack table and I know my heart rate is starting to go up, you know, I step away. I'm going to go have a cigarette. I'm going to go have a beer. I'm going to go do something. Right. You know, so when I agree with Gus on that. Like, I think when you start noticing your emotions are overtaking it, or kind of a rush, I would even say if you're feeling adrenaline or a rush, I'd say maybe it's time to step back a little bit. That would be my personal thing. Just because I think that you need to be, once again, have that mindfulness and have a clear mind going into this type of situation when you're dealing with really real risk and loss and gain. Right.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to say one last thing because I have to leave. But the most important thing is not focusing on the outcome. If you're focused on the process, you're not going to have this anxiety. But if you start focusing on your goals and targets, obviously you're going to have performance anxiety, and you're not focused in the moment. You're not trading. You're trading your account. You're trading your goals. You're not trading what you're seeing in the market. You're projecting how you feel about your goals and your results onto the market, and that's why you're having the anxiety. You're forcing it. You're forcing your trades. So I'm going to end it here because, sorry, I have to leave. But stay focused on the setup. Stay focused on your performance, not the results. The process is much more important than the results. Thank you, guys.
Yep, we're gonna end this all right now anyway, because Joel's got to go. And I
gotta get off.
Yep, we're gonna go. So we're gonna call it right here, and I'll just put a little summary up there, and do your video, do your journal, and we'll resume next Thursday.
Yeah, hope you
Thursday.
Hope you all have a great week. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Thanks,
everyone. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.